A quiet kind of defiance. In a town where a man's worth is measured by what he hides, one lawman chooses to stop running. This is a story of quiet defiance, of love that doesn't ask permission, and the kind of strength that doesn't bend. Welcome to Secrets Under Stetsons. Chapter 4: Soft Eyes, Rough Hands. The morning sun cut through the chill like a blade, casting long shadows across Main Street. Elijah Cade stood outside the jailhouse, arms crossed, watching the town stretch into wakefulness. Another day pretending. Another day holding himself in. He hadn't seen Liam in 2 days. Not that he was looking. Not openly. But every time he walked past the stables or the mercantile, his eyes flicked toward familiar places. Just in case. His quiet patrol carried him toward the western edge of town, where a wagon had just rolled in. It was a rough-looking setup. Canvas top. 2 men driving. The kind of worn, practical rig built for long stretches of land with no fences. Elijah slowed his step, his hand brushing the brim of his hat. The driver, a broad-shouldered man with graying dark hair, reined in the team. Beside him, a second man, younger but weathered, jumped down before the wheels had even settled. Elijah didn't recognize them. Not at first. But then the older one stood, stretching his back with the ease of a man used to building things with his hands, and Elijah's memory stirred. These were the ranchers from north of town. Quiet, private, hard-working. He'd heard about them in passing, like a whispered rumor. 2 men who kept to themselves, lived out on land most folks had given up on reclaiming. The older one approached first, calm, measured. His partner hung back, checking the rig. "Sheriff Cade," the man said, nodding politely. "You got me," Elijah replied. "Don't think we've had reason to meet." "No, sir. Name's Daniel Lockwood. This is my partner, Robert Jarrett." Elijah nodded, his eyes flicking between them. Daniel's tone was even, but the pause before partner said enough. Not many would have used that word. Not around here. Not unless they were ready to defend it. Robert walked up then, sizing Elijah with a glance. "Heard you ran a fair town." "I try," Elijah said. "We came in for some supplies," Daniel added. "Won't take much time." "Don't recall any trouble from your place." "There hasn't been," Robert said, folding his arms. "We keep to ourselves." Elijah's gaze lingered on them a moment longer. There was something familiar in the way they stood. Close, quiet, assured, not afraid, just reserved. Elijah felt a flicker of something behind his ribs. Recognition. Not in names or faces, but in the way a man carries himself when he's living a life no one's supposed to see. "Well," Elijah said finally, "town's open. Welcome, so long as you don't give me cause otherwise." Daniel smiled faintly. "Appreciate that." They nodded and moved on, disappearing into the general store. Their shoulders brushed briefly as they passed through the door. Elijah watched them go. He didn't say it aloud, but the truth settled heavy in his chest. They weren't just business partners. That was a story for others. But the way they moved together, how they read each other with the smallest glance, it was the same thing Elijah hadn't dared let himself want. The same thing Liam Prescott had somehow seen the first night in jail. It wasn't much, just a meeting. No need for names beyond introductions. But the silence that followed them felt meaningful. Elijah turned back toward the jailhouse, his jaw tight. He wasn't the only man in Sheridan with secrets under his Stetson. But those two, they weren't hiding. Not anymore. Until next time, the dust hasn't settled yet. There's more to this story, more to uncover, more to fight for, and more waiting just beyond the next sunrise. Come back next week and walk a little further down this road with them.